Hey, babe, what's good? Can you introduce yourself to the people?
Hi, I'm me.
Who are you?
Me.
Stop it. All right, everyone. This is my wife, Pascale, Dr. Pascale. She is an amazing woman. She's my rib. She's my support. She's my heart. She's everything. She's my baby mama.
That's right.
Together for how long? 18 years, I think, or
Wow,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute. That's crazy. Three children. And we're doing life. We're doing life together.
That's
It's
right.
an amazing experience, amazing journey. But I today she is on for a specific assignment. She's on for a specific assignment. I was called. I feel like God assigned me to do something in the season, and it's to put together a docu series, right? Gathering
It's
stories.
okay if I look at you.
Sure. Gathering stories of individuals, seasoned believers, people who's been in the faith for a while. And with this series, the purpose is to encourage and to inspire those that's coming behind us, the generation behind, right? Those like our children, my teenage son, and his cousins, and that demographic. And not only that, it can also inspire those of us, I mean, people in our age group as well. Now, the purpose behind it is to gather the stories of the hardships, the trials and tribulations, and to ultimately ask you, which is probably the first question, is, why are you still in the faith? Why are you still here? Why are you still serving Jesus? What's keeping you in the game? What's keeping you in the kingdom? So that's the first thing, because just the overhead of this whole talk would be still standing. The
Hmm.
overall series is still standing. Why are you still standing?
Well, in the pericopes of the vicissitudes of life. No, I'm sorry. Um, like, I really believe that, like according to, I believe it's in Revelation, right? Where they say they overcome by the
Yeah,
blood
blood
of
of
the
the Lamb.
Lamb
Word
and the
about
words of,
testimony.
right. So, I believe that it's really like, my testimony, really the way that God um, has handled me and has kept me,
Mm,
that keeps me
mm.
in the faith. It's Him keeping me that's keeping me. Many may know, many may not know. My father's a pastor.
The
Um,
bishop, the
you're,
captain chaplain.
I don't want to embarrass him right now
I know.
because I was not the good PK that
Mm,
stayed at home. I was the prodigal one.
mm,
So I will not mention his name. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Yes. So yeah. So I'm PK. Mom's a preacher. She's her siblings. Majority of them are pastors. Yeah. So that's the stock that I come from. So my parents raised me very well. Decided that I wanted to go off to college, and I really wanted to be away just so that I can, escape. You know how the Haitian life is like really, yeah, no.
yeah.
So anyway, I mean, well intentioned, but right,
Very tight grip,
yeah,
strict.
yeah, but
Yeah.
well intentioned. My parents did what they could, and I'm forever indebted, for all that they've done, for me. So anyway, went away to college. While away at college, I started going to Bible study um, more than class. So started feeling out of college because of Bible study and choir. Then I found myself in a very strange position where I didn't know what to tell my parents, because they didn't send you to school to fail. So I found myself in a strange place where I didn't really know what to say. I couldn't return home. So I found myself in a position where, um, I I made my bed in hell,
Mm, mm,
right? Um, So those years, I call them like my prodigal years. If you understand English, you understand what I'm saying. So in the 5 years, I was with a gentleman, and oh yeah, so that was my way of escaping, I guess, the reality of having to tell my parents the truth that I failed out of school. Um,
You fell
yeah,
out of
I failed
school.
out of school. Like, how do you tell your parents that, right?
What school? Can you tell us the school?
Stony Brook University, let's
Stony
go.
Brook.
um, yeah. So anyway, so long story short, throughout the time that I was with him, I knew I wasn't supposed to be with him. I knew I didn't love him. I knew I didn't want to be with him or whatever, but I felt as if I was stuck in the relationship,
Mhm.
right? I felt as if I was stuck in the relationship. And I didn't know how to get out. And it was a really weird thing because I knew I didn't love him, but I just
What
didn't
type of
know
guy
how
was he?
to.
What type of guy?
He wasn't a bad guy.
Okay.
He wasn't evil per se. Like you know,
Was he in love with you?
how could you not be in love with me? Hello.
Were you in love with him?
No, absolutely not.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Jesus. Wow.
whatever. Yeah, but it was just weird. And it's like after leaving him, I understood that there was something spiritual going on, which was the reason why I couldn't leave.
Mm.
And it's like as time goes on, even up until now, like just recently, we were listening to some music. Pat and I were listening to some music, and I realized that it was some spiritual bondage that kept me there. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, so it was anyway, whatever. One day, throughout this whole long 5 year process, at some point I ended up hearing God say, why not today? So
So hold on. You heard the audible voice of God.
yes,
Okay, what were you doing at this moment?
I was cleaning some chicken.
You was cleaning chicken and you heard God just say out of the blue,
Yeah, why not today?
why not today?
But I thought it was a television,
Hmm.
because I'm a very logical person.
Got it.
So I looked because there was like some partition there or whatever. So I looked around the partition and I was like, okay, yeah, the TV's on. The TV's off,
Mm.
so it definitely can't be the TV. But I know what I heard. I heard why not today, right?
So
Um,
so let's put it in context. Now, you hearing that, uh,
After
how
5 years.
and how were you contemplating this season in the season whether you should stay or not? Were you did you have that internal struggle? Because how what did that those words mean? Those three words, why not today, mean
Mhm.
to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because yeah.
During the 5 years, I would have moments. That's a really good question because, like,
Mm,
during the 5 years, I would have moments where I would see Jesus coming back,
mm.
right? And I would have these, um, I mean, literally almost every night. I don't want to exaggerate and say every night, like every night, but I mean, I would
Often.
say it felt as if it was every 3 days
So
at minimum.
within a
Within a
week,
week, at least
twice.
three
Three.
times.
Wow.
Yeah. I would see Jesus coming back, and um he would look at me and he would be like, I mean, I would see, all of the saints, and they would, they like all their
So it's
heads
like the
were all
rapture. The rapture.
right,
Hmm.
and all of the saints would have their heads, looking upward in anticipation of, seeing God, seeing the kingdom of God, or, but all of their heads would be up, and they were radiant in their beautiful white robes. Oh my gosh, they look gorgeous. And it
Mm.
was just a whole like fleet,
Multitude.
of them, and
Mm,
it's like they were just all like floating,
mm,
and Jesus would stand like right in front of me, and as I'm looking at them, and he's looking at me, and he's like, um I can't take you because you don't look like me,
mm,
you know.
mm.
So um still, I just didn't know how to talk to my parents because they were so, um, I just didn't know how I would break it
That
to
that kind
them
of news,
that
because
I
that's pretty
wasted
severe.
five
Yeah.
years,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So anyway,
Because they're in their mind, their
I
daughter's
gr-
still in
I'm
school.
almost
She's
graduating.
almost
I'm about
graduating.
to graduate and I failed it.
Yeah. And during that time, were you back and forth coming back home like on break time, like
I
during
mean, I'm
semesters
I'm not
in
I'm not
between?
two-faced. I'm like what you see is what you get.
Uh-huh.
And for me, it takes like too much energy to try to fake to be someone else. So I
You stayed away.
I stayed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, a lot of times I even though inside of me I felt horrible that,
Uh-huh.
my parents would be trying to call me or my siblings would try to call me. A lot of times I would avoid the conversation because I didn't want to tell my siblings a lie.
Yeah.
And if they knew a lie, you know, um,
Uh-huh.
then it's like if my parents would ask them a question and they know a lie,
Mm.
I didn't want to put them in that kind of position.
How do you think that
Mm.
affected them over time?
Oh yeah, I know that it's probably I wouldn't be surprised if there are still like residual effects like even to this day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised, Yeah.
So back to the story.
Mhm.
You
Oh
so
yeah, so when I heard why not today, I definitely understood because little by little he was calling me, like he was giving me hints obviously throughout the 5 years. But although my relationship with Pastor Sturge is a
shout out to
little
Pastor
bit
Serge. Serge Esperance.
yes, even though like our relationship isn't the tightest right now,
Mhm.
but during that time he played a very vital role. We saw him at
Mhm.
I met him. Well, I met with him again at Ruth and Sam's wedding, and this was maybe like a month before I came back. And
Mhm.
he saw me, and I had an attitude because I'm in the world. Like I've been in the world for like five years. Like I've been de-Christianized
Mm.
for 5 years, so I really didn't know the church jargon. I really could care less for it. It really didn't make a difference to me. Like to say, like if when he asked me, he said, "How are you?"
Mhm.
Or are you in the same place that you were in? I wasn't going to be on some, yes, I'm blessed and highly favored and God is
Mhm.
good all the time. I wasn't going to give him that kind of answer. um what I said when he saw me at Ruth and Sam's wedding, he asked me directly. He said, "Are you in the same place that you were 5 years ago?"
Mm.
And then I didn't even know how to answer him, and I was like, "Yeah."
Mhm.
And then he said something to the effect of, God is calling you back.
Mm.
You know, um, I know that he saw that I was really standoffish because I really could care less about like Christianity and Christians' perspectives at that time because I felt as if a lot of Christians were like really superficial and yeah,
Mhm.
at that time. So it's like I really um was standoffish, towards him. But as soon as he said, "Are you at the same place that you were 5 years?" Like it just broke everything down.
Mm.
I was like, "Oh man, I literally wasted 5 years." So anyway,
Wow.
yeah.
So you were washing dishes. Did he say? And then
Yes. So yeah. So
I
when
mean,
when I
I'm
heard why
sorry.
not today,
Mhm. Cleaning
I
meat.
I
Cleaning
was
meat.
cleaning meat, and then when I heard why not today the second time, I was like, all right, I know enough about God to not mess with him,
Mhm.
and I fear God enough
Mm.
um to know that he can strike me down
Mm.
at any point in time.
Some more.
So I immediately packed my things. Immediately. Like I packed as many things as I could.
Wow.
And I drove home. My parents didn't know that I was coming back home. I'm pretty sure they've been praying about it.
Mm.
But I drove myself back to my parents' house. They didn't know that I was coming back, but I came back. Um yeah.
Now, I remember you said something which is a part of the story, which is there's a big highlighted moment that I would like for the people to hear this part of the story.
Okay.
The gentleman that you were with,
Uh-huh.
he convinced you to come back.
Oh, right, right, right.
Okay, yeah.
So came back home. My parents didn't know why I was back home. They were just happy that I was back home.
Hmm.
The first thing I said to them, I was like, listen, I have a lot to explain. It's going to take a lot of time for me to unpack it, but I'll unpack it in time because I still was processing it, right? Um, but they understood that I was back home.
Hmm.
Okay. So the same day that I left, because I left a note saying to him, I was like, listen, I wasted 5 years with you. I literally put God in a box for 5 years. I know for a fact that He protected me. I know for a fact that God kept me, in spite of the fact that I put Him to the side,
Hmm.
right? Um, Now I'm choosing not to go back. Like, this is it. No turning back. Even if God decides for me to be um, under a pont, under a
A
bridge,
bridge.
right? And I'm absolutely homeless, as long as I'm with Him,
Mm.
that's all that matters.
Wow.
Like, because I literally know, I know for a fact, like, there are many times when people would come around me, they'd be possessed, and they talk about everyone around me. They wouldn't even talk about me.
Mm.
Um, I also speak on time at times about, people were doing like Ouija board around me. I wouldn't touch it. I had enough sense to not touch it,
Mm.
but I would ask the people, since they're already playing it. I would ask the people, hey, ask the Ouija board, a random question about me, and it would say, you do not believe,
Mm.
you know,
The Ouija board will
the
respond to you
Ouija
and say you
board.
do not believe.
And yeah,
Wow.
so it's like even the spirit world understood that I was covered, you
Mm.
know. Um,
Like you made this bed in
I
hell.
made I literally
Wow.
I literally made my bed in hell.
Mm.
And I thank God every day that even when I put Him to the side, even when I um yeah, I turned my back on Him, and I knew that I was turning my back on Him,
Mm.
um He still had my back, you know. But anyway, so I told him, I wrote in a letter when I left. I said, no turning back. That's it. I'm done with having these dreams and visions and being afraid of thunder and lightning, because anytime thunder and lightning would happen, oh my gosh, the girl was shook. The girl was shook because I'm thinking she's coming back. When he got the letter, he ended up calling me and he was like, hey, I saw your letter. I noticed that you said you're not turning back or whatever, but yeah, we're gonna have to talk. I was like, well, whatever we talk about, it's not gonna change my decision. I said no turning back, and I'm not turning back.
Mm.
Like, that's that. So what do you want to talk about? He was like, well, I'm on my way. I was like, you could be on your way, but no turning back. So he came and then he said, um, are you sure about your decision? I was like, yeah, my decision is final. He was like, well, I'm going to kill myself. I was like,
Mm. Wow.
my decision is final.
But I think we're mixing some of the stories up because the story I wanted you to highlight was when you was driving and you got into
Yes,
the accident.
but that was after.
That was after.
hmm
Okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry. Go
So
ahead.
he said, so he
Let's speed it
he
up a little
he
bit.
was okay. So he ended up saying, that he was going to commit suicide or whatever. So then he drove himself into a pole, like
Wow.
like drove himself into a pole, thinking that he was gonna commit suicide right in front of us. But thinking that that would have convinced me, but no, it didn't. So then so we got into the hospital. I straight up told him no turning back. I'll bring you to a hospital, and once they take care of you, I'm out.
Mm.
I called my mom. I was like, hey, mom, we're going to bring him to the hospital, and then we out. So
Mm.
drove him to the hospital, got him there, and we were out.
Mm.
So then, now since that car was messed up, we had two cars. So now we were down to one car,
Mhm.
right? So since we were mutually down to one car, the following week, or well, within the same weekend or whatever, I believe that he returned to work, and I also had to return to do some things or whatever. Um, so we had to, like, tease out a few things,
Hmm.
you know. Um, so now, throughout the day, for some reason, I kept reading Psalm 91, Psalm 91, never read Psalm 91, Psalm 91, Psalm 91, Psalm 91, never understood the implications of Psalm
He who
91. Psalm,
dwells in the secret
secret place of
place
the
of the
Most
Most
High
High
shall abide in
shall
the
abide
shadow
under the shadow of the
of the
Almighty.
Almighty.
Hmm.
Okay.
And if you
So,
look at it, Psalm 911,
wow.
yeah, that first verse,
Come on.
Psalm 91, verse 1,
See? Come on, Bishop.
bars.
So, yeah, so I'm reading it, reading it, reading it, and then I end up, so then, yeah, so it's like every verse spoke to me, like every verse spoke volumes, every single verse. I read every single verse at minimum like 10 times,
Mm.
every single verse. Like I literally spent the whole day in Psalm 91, right?
Mhm.
So, anyway, so, I end up seeing him because now it's like he dropped me off someplace so then I could read Psalm 91 all day. It was a library or whatever. So then he gives me the car back so then I could drive back home. So, before driving back home, he says to me, he said, "Listen, I know that you said that you're not turning back. I do find it interesting though that when you said that you felt as if your father, God, was calling you back. Um, my father, my natural father, has been trying to contact me."
Mm.
And I said, "Really? You don't even speak with your natural father like that?" He was like, "Yeah. But this weekend, he has really been trying to contact me because he said that it's my time or my turn to take his place.
Mm.
And I have a decision to make. I have a decision to make whether or not I'm going to serve God for the rest of my life, or if I'm going to take my rightful place. Now,
And that rightful place meaning
I don't know nothing about no voodoo.
could
I
be
don't know
voodoo.
nothing about
Yeah.
them. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the implications were because he didn't really speak with his father.
Hmm.
You know, so I'm pretty sure that there were some spiritual implications here.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Right. So then I said, "Listen, my decision stands. I'm not turning back. Like I'm done with that. Like I'm finished, you know." Um and then he said, "All right, well, if you're going to go, then go." He was like, "But do know that the God that you think you serve
Mm.
cannot protect you against this."
Mm.
And
So
I
right there,
said,
he's making it clear that he's serving some other
"Some other
God.
God."
Yeah.
All of
Hmm.
a sudden,
Right.
after 5 years, bro,
Right.
all of a sudden,
Hmm.
you serving some next God.
Hmm.
So anyway, so I was like, "All right, well, the God that I think I serve has been prepping me all day and he will protect me."
Mm.
Okay. So I said, "And as I said, no turning back. I hope you have a great night."
Hmm.
So I get into the car, and for the first time, I never prayed about angels. I never prayed concerning angels. For the first time, I ended up praying that, God would protect and surround the car with angels. I also prayed, that, well, you know how we pray about traveling mercies, so on and so forth. But yeah, for some reason, I asked for God to allow that angels would surround the car from bumper to bumper. It was just, I never prayed like that
Hmm.
before, right? So then I made a joke, thinking that I'm making a joke. I said, "Okay, well, Jesus, I pray that you would, sit in the seat with me and take this ride with me." Um, and then I was like, and then I started up the car, and then I was like, "By the way, Jesus, where you been?" And then it was as if I said, as if he said, "I've always been here. Where
Mm.
you been?"
Mm. Come on.
And I both laughed and cried at
Mm.
the same time.
Yeah.
It was both funny and heart, like it
Hmm.
tore my heart,
Mm.
but it made my heart glad at the same time, to know that he was always
He was
there.
always there.
he never left me. He
Mm,
never,
mhm.
forsook me. He never left my
I
side,
think this is a good encouraging moment right here that you probably can encourage somebody. Somebody may be in hell right now in their life, in hell in their finances, hell in their relationship, hell psychologically, mentally. Somebody may be living in torment right now. Um, Encourage that person right now if you can, really quick. What can you
hmm
tell that person right now?
I don't believe that you can ever go too far from his grace, from his mercy, from his love, from
Mm,
his compassion,
wow.
from his kindness, from his goodness, from his faithfulness.
Hmm.
Um, his arms are always wide open.
Mm,
His arms are always, his eyes are always looking
my God.
um, in your direction. You'll
Mm,
always be the apple of his eye.
mm,
Um, I don't think that there's ever any sin that can ever intimidate him.
mm,
There's nothing that can intimidate him. You're never too far for him to draw you close. You know, and if you made your bed in hell, you can get out the bed.
mhm.
You can get out the bed. But it's all a choice, you know. Um, but there's also a danger. You don't want to die while you are in your bed in hell. So I'm praying that if you are in your bed that you've made that's in hell, that you would choose ye this day whom you'll serve.
My God.
Um,
And
because
this is beautiful because your story. Let's pick up from right there because this is living proof that there is a God after you share this part of your story.
yeah, because what happened next?
Yeah. So you're in your vehicle, you
Yeah,
speaking and you rekindling your moment
reconnecting
with
with
the
Jesus.
Lord,
Yes.
and you go on the LIE. Is it LIE or the Southern State?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Okay, you was on a highway,
Mm-hmm.
which had a few lanes on this highway,
Yes.
and you begin to drive back home,
Yes.
like the
So,
prodigal son
yes.
coming back home.
My
Daddy,
God.